A foreign-born who live among you, how should you treat them? Throughout world history, the dominant culture oppresses the immigrant culture. And God's saying to the Israelites, not so with you. It doesn't just say don't oppress them, it says treat them just like your native born. And then if that's not good enough, Leviticus 19:34 stacks on top of that, and love them as you love yourselves. Whether they're here legally or illegally, whether they're TPS or green card or visa, the Bible's really clear. Human beings are created in God's image and they're worthy of our love.
You know, of course, as a black man living in America, I desperately want to support this message. I really, really do. And I do support the message if we were looking at it from just a humanistic standpoint. But I cannot support this message based on the Bible because the Bible is a lie. And the Bible is the reason why foreigners are treated the way they are treated in this country. If you don't believe me, then all you would do is just listen to what this pastor said. And it is true. The Bible does tell the Israelites that they should treat everyone, the foreigners, as they would treat themselves. That's kind of an idea that the apologists would say is the overarching idea of how the Bible should be thought of and taught. But there are so many instances where the Bible just goes completely opposite of this, Whether we're talking about the smaller things like in Deuteronomy 22, where it talks about the fact that to the foreigners, you are to tax them. You don't tax your own people, no usury against your own people, no interest against your own people. But for the foreigners, you can tax them. For the foreigners, you can have usury over them. How does that equate to treating them the same way as you would treat yourself? In Leviticus 25, it talks about the fact that for your own people, if they are found to be in a situation where they are financially messed over, that you can take them into debt slavery. Indentured servitude is what we call it today. They are only to remain in debt slavery for up until the Jubilee, which could be anywhere from 7 to 50 years. But to the foreigners who live amongst you and the foreigners who live around you, you are to buy your slaves, male and female, and they are to be your property until death. They are your property, and you can pass them down to your sons as an inheritance of your property. So how is it you're treating them equally if the foreigners are made into slaves in perpetuity, but the Israelites themselves are only made into slaves to the years of Jubilee? And of course, there's always that caveat that if you give the Israelite a wife and they have children, that the wife and child remain as slaves. And then if the person chooses to stay with the wife and child, they become a slave permanently as well by having an awl drawn through their ear. But they still have a choice in the matter to become permanent slaves. But the foreigners do not. So tell me again how you are treating the foreigners equally. You're not even slightly. Multiple times throughout the Bible, and especially with Ezra and Nehemiah, there is the issue of intermarriage that the Israelites don't tell the foreigners, sure, you're a good guy. You are a great provider. You're an honorable guy. You can marry my daughter. No. Matter of fact, if you're not an Israelite, you can't marry my daughter. Matter of fact, for those Israelites who got with them Moabite women, go ahead and kill all of them. Matter of fact, if a daughter if the daughters inherit their father's land because the father doesn't have any sons, and the daughters get the land or the inheritance, hey, you know what? If you don't marry somebody within our clan, you lose your inheritance. Tell me again how you're treating them, the foreigners, equally as you're treating the people within your own community. You're not. As a matter of fact, in the book of Joshua, you have where everybody gained their inheritance. For the people of the Danites, they weren't able to completely genocide the people that were living in that land. So what does this God say? It tells them, hey, then you are to make them into your slaves. The Canaanites that you could not slaughter, Danites, make them into your slaves. And as a matter of fact, the Bible says to the people that they conquered within the promised lands, that they claim to be the promised land, that they are to genocide them. Okay, that's genocide. But it says for the lands that are near your lands, which would be the foreigners, you are to make them your slave. This is in the books of Joshua, somewhere around between chapter 18 through chapter 22, somewhere around in there. That you are to make those nations around you into your slaves. And let us not forget, many are going to say, well, that's the Old Testament. Your God is supposed to be God at all times. Old Testament and New Testament is still supposed to be Jesus talking, right? But what does Jesus actually say? The Canaanite woman comes up to him in Matthew 15 and says that, could you please heal my daughter? She already has faith in him that he's going to heal, that he can heal her daughter. But she's a Canaanite woman. So he tells the Canaanite woman, I only have come for the Israelites. Why would I give the children's food to dogs? Thus calling the woman a dog. The woman still begs and pleads, and he's like, all right, since you recognize that you're a dog, because you're like, well, even the dogs eat from them, the scraps from their master's table. She recognizes that she's a dog. She submits to his bullshit. And he goes ahead and heals the little baby, heals the daughter of the demon that she supposedly has. If Jesus, two problems with that. One, calling another person a dog, a woman a dog, that's problem number one. Problem number two, if God is saying that everybody's supposed to be treated the same, why did he only come from the Israelites? Why didn't he come for everybody else? It is not until later days talking about something, and then the Gentiles will be grafted in. Why didn't he come for everybody in the beginning of the whole deal? And truly, if God wanted everybody to be treated the same way, he would have never said, you are my chosen people. He would have never chosen one group of people over the other people. He would have never chose one child over the other children. All the children would have always been all his children, not selective. Not from the line of Shem, but the line of Japheth and the line of Ham would have always been all his children, not a special group. And the only reason the house of David came there because the house of Saul messed up. But he picks and chooses as he wants to because he doesn't want everybody treated the same. He doesn't see everybody as being equal. This is the trueness of this God. Now, I support the message of this pastor because just being a decent human tells me to treat everybody the way that they should be treated. Because of how I desire to be treated, I treat everybody else in the way that I desire to be treated. I believe everybody deserves opportunity. I believe everybody deserves respect. So I'm going to treat people with respect, and I'm going to give people opportunities. I give people opportunities, and I treat people with respect. I want love, so I give love. I want peace, so I give peace. I treat people based on what makes me a better person and what makes me feel good and the authenticity of my morals. Whereas a person, if you're only treating foreigners well because your book tells you to, you're only treating people well because if you don't, you might go to hell, then you have conditional goodness. That goodness is on the condition that you receive a treat at the end, little doggy. And so your goodness is not authentic. Your goodness is conditional. That's sad if you are trying to tell me that this is a book of love and a God of love. So y'all have a great day. And always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.